Hey guys, welcome to Honey, We Need to Chat.
Where we believe when communication dies, bad things happen.
Here's a clip from our podcast.
Let's get chatting.
Honey, we need to chat.
So she'll say, so what I'm hearing is blah, 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 blah. Is that accurate? And I will either say yes or no. Because so many people, and as soon as you start to do this yourself, you start to see it in others, is that when you're talking, they get this glazed look over their eyes and it's like, I'm not listening to you, I'm thinking about my rebuttal.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly so when there's a heightened emotional experience behind it. So in the workplace, if you know, I mean, I'm not sure, you guys are your workplace, aren't you? So.
Yes.
Right. But in a workplace where you've got 50 people and you're butting up against someone, if a difficult conversation or a heavy conversation needs to occur, it really is invaluable. And so you're not just rebutting, you're going, what I've heard is this, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're wanting to say to me? Okay, well, if that's the case, then this is how I feel, and then you swap.
Yeah.
And I think that has come up a lot more in the last decade, hasn't it? You would have often said to me, this is how I'm perceiving this situation. It may not be how you intend, or your intention, but this is how I'm receiving it. And that can be helpful upon reflection for both of us to kind of go, well, why am I perceiving it this way? But also, he's perceiving it this way. I have to back off. I have to go gently, or I have to clarify things. And I guess two things. Number one, as a therapist, reflection is the most underrated skill in the world. Right. So I think all of us need to build in time in our lives to reflect, and that can be linked to prayer and meditation, but it might not be. But number two, the skill of active listening is really good with kids too, because if we often as parents, we just want to say, it'll be all right, you'll be all right, get up or whatever, but we just stopping and listening and hearing what they're saying and then empathizing with them is so powerful, not trying to fix that problem because usually we think it's a small problem anyway. Fix it. So that active listening with kids is often even more challenging than with adults.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's so valuable.
Yeah, we had I don't know if you noticed when you were sharing then, we sort of, I mean, I had a bit of a response when you were saying about how you sit in bed till 2 a.m. and like, you know, this was our conversation yesterday. Yeah. We were driving back. We were away for the weekend. It was a good weekend and I'm tired. Like we're tired. You know, holidays, when you're a parent, holidays are fun, but they are so tiring. I am so exhausted. Anyway, on the way back, it was like I was having one of those moments of And I recognize it's very fear driven. Like I have this incredible fear of my kids not wanting anything to do with me when they're older, and everything going through that of I'm the worst dad, I'm the worst, you know, all this sort of stuff, and you know, it's just really refreshing hearing you say that, Andrew, because I think is a big part of what I've been noticing too, and another thing I'm really wanting from this podcast is that when you hear that someone else is struggling with something similar, you know, it normalizes what you're going through. Because a big part of what I was feeling yesterday, I said to you, Amy, I said, I just feel silly. Like I feel so silly, like with myself at the moment, like the way that I'm processing, the way that I'm thinking or whatever else, I just feel silly. Like I shouldn't be doing it. So it just validates the struggle, not the thoughts. You know, you don't want to validate those thoughts because as we works through it, it's like, well, why would that even be? Why do you feel that? But yeah, it was just, I just really resonated with what you just said then.
Yeah. So we have to deliberately and intentionally carve out time that's not nighttime to connect with each other, which is always been a challenge, hasn't it?
Yes,
always. And so
how do you do that? Look, can you walk us through how you do that then? So you know you don't want to really do past 8:30 or 9. So then how do you find that time? What does that process actually look like?
Well, it can happen in two different scenarios, and we don't do this often enough, but occasionally we will just go for a walk.
Nice.
occasionally. It can also happen when we're side by side working on something in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
that's actually often what happens, isn't it? Because we have this intention to go outside and have this lovely day working side by side, and often it will end up in tension.
Conversation.
Discussion, yeah.
No, tension.
Yeah, right.
Like it often, because we've side by side. Would that be fair?
Yeah. Oh, I think that when we go into the backyard, Katie has an unwritten list in her mind of things that I'm going to do, and then I just kind of freeform it. I go, I might rake these leaves. The grass is a bit long on the lawn. I'll do that. Oh, I didn't clean up that pile of wood from when I did that job the other day. I'll just do that. And Katie's like, when's he going to get to my X, Y, or Z? And I'm
just
like,
X usually.
And she might have mentioned it already, but I'm just like, aren't we just having a day of just kind of pottering in the backyard? But sometimes one of the little key phrases that I have said and Katie have said, if there's a long silence and we're working near each other, one of us will start a sentence with these exact words. I guess, and then it will go on, right? I guess when you said the other night that blah, 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 it made me feel blah, blah, blah. Or I guess, it's funny. We say those two words, I guess, and I've heard it and I've said it and I've gone, I've just said it again. So I don't know. That's a little crack in the door to, I want to talk about something.
Have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's a gentle knock, knock, knock.
And that was just random that it happened. It wasn't an intentional phrase that you decided on.
Yeah.
No, it just sounded gentle, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, it's easier to say than like,
When
Katie, I want to talk to you about how you usurped my authority as a parent over our children at the dinner table the other night.
Or pointing the finger, as usually doesn't go down so well either.
No.
But at the moment, our main connecting time is actually Monday morning, 8:30 to 9:30. And I'll tell you why.
In the morning,
Yeah. Because our kids head off to school at 8:30. They ride their bikes to school. And that's the first time in the week that we can kind of go, all right. And so we sit down, we look at our week, we connect, and that's when anything that's niggling will kind of bring up. But I think we're getting better at bringing things up as they come up, because I think we're better at not going into that defensive kind of mode and just receiving it, thinking about it, and kind of filtering it into our relationship, aren't we?
Yeah, and to be respectful to both sets of our parents, like no two parents can ever be the full gamut.
100%.
All of us nail it in certain columns, and we're all a work in progress in other columns. So when I grew up, I never saw my mother or father have a heated discussion, not once. Right? That was taken offline. So maybe they had that conversation when they went for a walk around the suburbs, or maybe they took it to their bedroom and did it in hushed tones. But I had virtually no heated discussion skills through my youth.
Until about 24 hours into our marriage.
So there was some learning in that space.
Yes.
So what would that look like for you then, Andrew? You mentioned that you struggled with those skills. Would you just clam up?
Yeah.
Would you?
Turtle, shrink, and disappear into music.
Yeah. So how was that for you then, Katie? Like, so obviously probably quite frustrating, was it? Because you're trying to have a conversation. Like, what was that like for your side if you went into turtle mode?
Yeah, it was total frustration. But we learned about our families of origin very early.
Yes.
But that's been a continual unpacking, hasn't it? Because something we've just realised recently, and again, full respect to our parents, is that Andrew's family tendency is to share and share stories. They're great storytellers, so share. My family tendencies are wait to be asked. And so when we're in a dynamic, it's Andrew will share. And so, I'll oh, well, if he cares, he'll ask.
Yeah.
Or if anyone in a social dynamic care, they'll ask. And I don't know if that's a British kind of thing back a few generations. I'm not sure from my family. But it was really evident at one of our recent birthday parties, wasn't it? And it was just an interesting thing to observe. And so, and I don't know if it's that way you can control the narrative a bit and control what's being talked about, or I don't know. It's really interesting to observe about ourselves.